Hobbs and Shaw brings together Luke Hobbs and Deckard Shaw from the Fast and Furious films for their own spin-off movie. The two men are contacted by the CIA when Shaw's sister is accused of killing her MI6 team and stealing a deadly virus, and it's up to them to track her down and prevent the virus falling into the hands of Brixton, played by Idris Elba, a former spy who has been artificially enhanced to the point where he's half human and half machine. I've come to really like the Fast and the Furious series over the years. 1 and 2 aren't very good, 3 is much better than those, 4 is better than 1 and 2 but not better than 3, 5 is probably the best and the shot in the arm and change of direction the franchise needed. 6 is really good too, just not quite as good as 5. 7 and 8 can be described the same way, but I enjoyed 8 a little bit more than 7. And one of the best parts of 8 was getting to watch Statham and The Rock play off each other. And the best action scene in that whole film was the prison riot with the two of them. So when I heard that this film was a thing that was going to happen, it sounded like a great idea to me. The problem then came with the trailers. I've actually mentioned this in another review. The marketing team that released those trailers should be ashamed of themselves. Going in, I knew every big plot point, set piece, and action moment, and the order in which they would all happen. That being said, I think it says a lot about this film that when I knew all that already, and I still enjoyed this and had a lot of fun watching it. Johnson and Statham make it all work. The contrast between their characters is just wonderful. They have great chemistry, and the script pushes the dislike between them for as long as they can, which is absolutely the right choice because most of the humor comes from just them interacting. There's a lot of action, but this film was really, really funny. I laughed out loud many times, and it was mostly the very creative insults that these two hurl at each other, and actually the pranks that they play on each other. It raised the film above just two action stars teaming up in a movie. It's very like Tango and Cash in a few ways, but when the characters are introduced, it's with a really effective split screen sequence that shows how different they are. It's not subtle, but then again, nothing in this film is, and that really is part of its charm. And there is a lot of action, which is over the top and a lot of fun. Lots of car stunts and fight scenes. I really like the fight scenes. You can really feel the power behind the hits. But there was a bit of shaky cam, and sometimes the cuts could be a little bit too quick. I also thought the camera could just get a wee bit too close to the subject in some scenes, and during the fight scenes it could make it a bit disorientating. The action sequences could also go on a bit long, but they are able to keep it energetic and different enough to keep me interested. Vanessa Kirby plays Shaw's sister, and she's great too. She was good in Mission Impossible Fallout, but here she's able to get more involved in the action, and she has great chemistry with The Rock and Statham as well. They tried to get a bit of a romance going between Kirby and Johnson, which didn't work at all for me. I just don't buy The Rock as a sexual being. He has tons of charisma, but he just never seems to have romantic chemistry with anyone. Maybe it's because he's so fucking big, or maybe it's because he just is never really given a romantic interest in his other films. Whatever it is, he doesn't have that kind of chemistry with Kirby in this film, and it didn't work for me. And coming from me, I really think that that means something, because I complained before a lot about a lack of romance in movies today. I like Idris Elba as the villain. There's not really that much to his character, but there is enough. All of his robotic enhancements allow for some cool action moments and vehicle stunts, and it makes him a real threat to two guys who already seem to be superhuman. Seriously, some of the stuff they do in this is really ridiculous. For example, The Rock does the same Captain America bicep curling the helicopter thing, but you know he's not a super powered comic book character. But, you know, what can I say? It still works. Eiza Gonzalez shows up seemingly just so our heroes can get some equipment and information, and just to let the audience know that Statham's character isn't completely asexual. She looks hot, but she's kind of bad in the role, as small as it is. I just didn't understand her character. It's like she runs a team of all-female somethings, like maybe they're thieves or vigilantes or something, and she works in Russia, but she's Latina. In her scene, she's just broken into some rich Russian, maybe criminal's house, and somehow there's a machine there that has all the blueprints to the facility that Johnson and Statham have to break into next. I was just very confused by her and all the scenes that she's in. There is a lot of exposition in this too, like a lot of exposition. And like everything else, it's not done subtly, but I didn't hate it as much as I would in other things, because again, everything is over the top and corny, so maybe it fits in a bit better. It's especially bad anytime someone explains their own backstory, including two different back-to-back scenes of The Rock and Kirby looking out at the sunset and explaining the mistakes of their past. Seriously, it's 2 scenes, one right after the other. Just like the other Fast and the Furious films, it's a very slick looking film, and I didn't care about the plot about the missing virus. It's just a skeleton to slap action sequences on, but I don't expect a really clever script or original plot, so I didn't really mind. The story's all about the 2 heroes learning to work together and trust each other, but there's also Statham having to repair the relationship with his sister and The Rock with his family. It gives us some extra emotional depth, and though it doesn't use the word as much as Vin Diesel does in the other films, it continues the theme of family, which is such a big part of this series. But I did think that the stuff with The Rock's family was a bit overly serious and went on for way too long. It was like it was trying to be really intense, but it went on so long that it was almost like it became the main part of the story, when it should have been focusing more on Statham and The Rock's relationship. During these scenes, Statham mostly just stands in the background and doesn't really say much. There's a moment in Mission Impossible Fallout where Vanessa Kirby kisses Tom Cruise in this really sudden, quick way that happens in this as well. It was so similar and noticeable because both times it just felt like she was like, okay, I'll kiss the guy, but I really don't want to, so we're going to make this real quick, okay? Okay. Sometimes the editing could be a bit too fast, especially during the montages and when it's intercutting between 2 scenes. There are 2 pretty big cameos, one that worked and one that didn't. The first cameo was really fun and brought a style of humour that doesn't really fit with this franchise, but it's just so funny that it doesn't really matter. And the second cameo, it just happens in a scene that had already gone on too long, and then the actor comes in and just pushed it even longer, and that just didn't work. It was also a bit like him and The Rock again. Really, I mean, I've already seen this. I've seen these 2 together enough. There are also after credits scenes, so be sure to stay for those. I like the characters of Hobbs and Shaw, but I think that Shaw has gotten better during the series, but Hobbs hasn't. I mean, it works for this, but I miss the version of this character from Fast 5 when he just felt really dangerous and even a bit scary.
Stay the fuck out of my way.
It was probably The Rock's best performance. I'm going to give Hobbs and Shaw an A-. It's crazy, it's silly, it's a bit too long, it's over the top, it defies the laws of physics, it's entertaining, it's fun, it's funny, it's worth seeing, and I definitely recommend it. If you like the Fast and the Furious series, then you will like this too. But don't worry if you haven't seen those films, because you don't need to understand what's happening or who these guys are. I got exactly what I expected based on those trailers, which showed way too much. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing these characters again. Thank you very much for watching my review. Please like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at @LukeToTheMovies. It all really helps me out and helps the channel grow. Comment down below. Let me know if you've seen Hobbs and Shaw and what you thought of it, if you liked it, disliked it, if you agree or disagree with any of my points, or if you have any points of your own. There's also a thing in this film where the higher up villain, who's like Idris Elba's boss and the head of the organization he works for, is just portrayed as a voice on a screen. The character actually hasn't been cast yet. And write down in the comments below who you would like to see play the part. Like a big actor, big name who you'd like to see brought into this franchise next. I'll be back soon with more reviews, and I will see you then.